You guys ever watched a show when you were a little kid and you really liked it, and you watched it 5 years later and you start to cringe immediately? Well, that show for me was the Nostalgia Critic. Nostalgia Critic bad, funny, and inciting content on this channel. Everybody knows about the Nostalgia Critic, not because he's good, but because he's just really cringy. He was the one that invented the angry reviewer gimmick. He was also the one that did the insert anything cringy here, it physically hurts me, and he also bombed Hiroshima. He was never punished for his crimes. Today, I'm gonna be looking at the show and the character, and there's a lot to go over, so let's get started. Fuck. Hang on, guys. Hey, Sawblade, how's it going? Good. So, anyways, I hear that you're reviewing the Nostalgia Critic, am I right? Yeah, I'm in the middle of recording here, so I gotta get back to it. Well, I'll tell you what you can do. You can just quit this project and give me the topic for my next video. How about that? What? No, I'm not gonna do that. Listen, man. Listen, I am the one that talks about the YouTubers, okay? I am the one that makes fun of them even when they're dead, alright? You can't do that shit. Sawblade, there's no need to fight. We can both do an episode on him. We don't need to get on our periods like you usually do. Well, no, okay? You can't talk shit, okay? Me and Jeopardy had to find this corpse ourselves, and we believe that it is possessed, and this will make a totally better video than what you're doing. I mean, do you know who you're talking to? I am the mascot for your channel, you son of a bitch! Is that why more people watch the Far Cry takedown videos than your show? Watch it, buddy. I can send my drones to your dimension immediately. No, you better watch out. Remember, I only let you borrow the channel, Sawblade. I can easily kick you out of it. Now listen, we can both talk about the Nostalgia Critic. There's no need to fight over him. Do not negotiate diplomacy, dummy. You can do your video on the Critic while I find a better subject. Argonaut, throw out the corpse. We don't need it anymore.
Well, about that, it seems like he's actually gone away.
What? How?
Didn't you say he was possessed or something?
Oh, Jeopardy. There are no such thing as ghosts. I was just lying. Like, there's no such thing as a bat credit card.
Bat credit card?
What the fuck?
Right!
Okay, alright. Yeah. Fuck you, then. Anyways, the Nostalgia Critic is a very influential person in the movie reviewing genre. He was the one that inspired the greats like Ralph the Movie Maker, and even some of the worst like the mysterious Mr. Enter. However, even with him, he has actually been better than the Nostalgia Critic because he's actually changed throughout the years. You see, this character has been around since 2007 and has changed very little through his career. Let's talk about the character in general before analyzing the show. Now, Doug Walker likes to say that the Nostalgia Critic is a character. He is not. He is just a more obnoxious version of himself. The only reason why he says he's a character is so that when something controversial happens, he can say, "Oh, it wasn't me, it was the Critic. I don't mean that."
What's up, my niggas?
The Critic is a 5', 10-inch man with brown hair and 2 human eyes. The man's favorite color is blue and he is married to Robin Page, but he has no children as far as we know. The human wears a white t-shirt with a black coat stolen from a morgue. This coat holds a airsoft Beretta 92. Around his neck is a red tie that is loosened very wide. This is because he is afraid of strangulation after a terrible masturbation experiment. On his bald concave head, he wears a black hat with pride like a yarmulke. His glasses also help him see 3 feet in front of him. He found these in a Halloween costume. His face is also very interesting. Not only does he have a goatee and a pedo stash, but he is also very flexible around the mouth area, able to open wider than most humans, giving him a... I'm sorry, I'm looking at... How does he do that? Nostalgia Critic is portrayed in the show as an egotistical, deranged psychopath that reviews movies either in his home or office. The Critic is also very loud and violent, constantly screaming at the camera or pulling his gun out. Doug tries to portray the Critic as a lovable jerk, but in the end he's just more of an asshole overall. He is very unlikable. The Critic mostly bosses around his friends and makes fun of them. Because of his superiority complex, the Critic suffers very little consequences in the show. This is most obvious in the anniversary specials where he is constantly shitting all over the reviewers. The Critic of Nostalgia doesn't have many friends after faking his death in the acclaimed disaster of a movie to boldly flee. He is followed by two people, Tamara and a black guy. They help him dress up and please him with sexual favors. Probably, I don't fucking know. Why do they even work there? Do they get money? Seems like a sad place to work, to be honest. Critic normally sits in a chair most of the show, but if he is moving around, he either walks or sprints to his destination. He is also known to sing, but not very well.
LOL, so school sucks. Grow a damn pair of balls. Children's souls were so evil.
In the show, the Critic doesn't really have any goals. He mostly reviews movies. The only goal I guess you would say he has is to make money.
Wait a minute. So you're saying that if I jump aboard the bandwagon before it even becomes a bandwagon, I could be one of the front runners of the bandwagon? Potentially.
He is very greedy, to the point where the Critic decided to review whatever he wants and not stick to his gimmick, just to make a little extra cash. Anyways, the Critic is incredibly violent, either hurting or killing his victims. For example, in a fit of rage after hearing a bad joke, the Critic killed 3 people with a baseball bat. The Critic also killed a bunch of disabled people for annoying him. Now that we know a little bit more about the character, let's talk about the show. In short, it is a movie reviewing show. Sounds simple enough, but every episode can be very different. One video might be a normal review, another video might have a small scenario, or an episode can be batshit insane. The show has skits in it where Critic and friends dress up to do unfunny or cringy things. Most of these costume parties are a minute at most, but sometimes the skit will be the whole episode.
Can you believe they gave a gun to a chick in this movie?
Tell me about it. A man tweeting right now to let the internet know my disgust.
A smaller skit example would be in the Shark Tale review, where he and a bunch of people are in a therapy session talking about childhood trauma.
My God, I forgot!
I repressed it all these years!
Is there a version of that with boobs?
Like, come on, man, that's not even fucking scary. You could have picked any movie and you picked Shark Tale to do this fucking thing. You fucking suck dick. A bigger skit would be something like the Deadpool 2 review, where he'd... oh, fuck, that looks fucking awful. And as you pray to your God asking for a divine intervention, he does not answer, as the horrors of Doug come out of his mind and onto the screen.
I'm a carrot.
Critic likes to recreate movie scenes to get past the copyright laws, but the problem with these videos is that Doug Walker either gets them wrong because he doesn't understand them or doesn't think that they're important, and the audience can get very confused because they've never seen the movie until now, and the recreation can be very confusing. When he isn't looking like a clown, he mostly talks about the movie scene by scene, showing you clips and making funny jokes. One of the problems with the show is when he's reviewing something, he sometimes skips parts of the movie. That's right, he ignores scenes and doesn't acknowledge them. For example, in the food fight review, the Critic does not mention several scenes, one of them where the villain is revealed to be somebody else. He doesn't mention where the characters are going to or why, he just kinda makes it up. The Critic also seems to get confused by a lot of the stuff he watches, so sometimes he'll make his own theories on the subject. However, these are usually wrong, and how he can't see the true meaning of a particular scene is beyond embarrassing, especially when you call yourself a critic. I go to film school, but I don't claim to know everything. The biggest example is the Pink Floyd's Wall review where he had no idea what was going on. The parodies were meaningless because he had no idea what was happening and he called everything pretentious. One of the things I've noticed in his review is the way he talks. Have you ever noticed the Nostalgia Critic has a weird pattern to his reviews?
Peter decides to look for ways to get money to buy a car to impress Mary Jane. He explains how the gypsies are warping the minds of Paris and taking her gerbs, so they must be dealt with like a nest of insects. But Peach apparently has the power to keep on growing until it finally transforms into Garfield's anus. Alex gets the bad news that once this mission is over, they're probably gonna kick him out of the Navy. Later that night, she sees Ito going out and follows him, afraid he might be the killer. They reach the wall of mist, and Elsa's powers are the only thing that can get them through.
It's almost like he's using a text-to-speech program, and I don't think anyone notices it. A problem that Doug usually complains about with the show is the fair use issues. Seeing how he is using clips from a movie to explain his points, there is a risk of copyright. However, what Doug is doing is not under fair use. He barely qualifies for it as he really doesn't review the movie. He kinda just talks over it, going through the whole plot, and ends up saying what he thinks at the last 2 minutes. When he is criticizing something, it really is half-assed. It sounds very disingenuous and almost like someone else wrote it.
Clearly, much more is expected now out of video games, because the medium itself has naturally evolved. But many critics out there still declare that's just a modern, updated version of this. In my opinion, the best way to understand the evolution of the craft is by comparing it to another craft that many people argued for years wasn't art: movies. For a long time, many art critics declared film as just a means of escape and entertainment, and nothing else. But as the art form advanced more and more, we saw filmmakers take chances by challenging audiences with new ways of telling stories and expressing ideas. Films could be disturbing, thought-provoking, enlightening, even breaking the bonds of the 3-act structure and just expressing motion, dreams, or the subconscious.
You guys think he wrote that? I mean, we're talking about the guy who made this.
Doesn't this remind you of Jesus? I'm like Jesus! I'm Jesus! Feel sorry for me! I'm Jesus!
Overall, I give the Nostalgia Critic a score of the human tailbone. It used to be useful, but now it's just nothing but a reminder of evolution. And I give his character, the Critic, a score of the Suicide Squad Joker. Good night, everyone!